Here recently, the media got together and had their preseason All-Big 12 team put together. Those who cover the Big 12 getting together, voting on the individuals that they would add into this list, and now we have a team, and this is something I want to talk about because there are a few interesting things on this list. First and foremost, there's only one unanimous addition to this list, and that name, though absolutely worthy, may surprise you that there aren't more unanimous additions to this list, and we're going to break that down. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Were you surprised that there was only one unanimous addition? And then let me know, did you agree with the list as a whole, and who would you have added in? Let me know all that down below, and if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and I would love to have you a part of this community. And if you enjoy that content, be sure to like, comment down below. Those interactions are massive to content creators such as myself, but with all of that being said, let's talk about this, and I want to start with the unanimous addition to this list in Charlie Kolar, the tight end from Iowa State. Absolutely deserving of this, being the unanimous player on this. I think the thing that is surprising to me is that there aren't more unanimous additions, and I'm going to talk about that in an instant. But Charlie Kolar is an individual who I saw when he was on this list, one, absolutely deserving. He had a sensational season last year. He looks to back that up with another sensational season this year. He's going to be a guy that NFL pundits are clamoring about throughout the year, and he's a guy we all need to watch out for because he is an incredibly talented piece to this Iowa State team and a very important piece to what it is they want to get done. But Iowa State as a whole is incredibly well represented. Of this list of around 30 names, Iowa State has 8 of them. Oklahoma has 9 of them. The tiebreaker comes down to special teams, which shows you right then and there when we've been talking here recently, and I say conventional wisdom dictates that OU and Iowa State are 1 and 2 in the Big 12. That's kind of a representation of that right there. Now, I think that the Big 12 is getting better as a whole. We'll talk about that. But Iowa State and OU are just in such a good place because they return so much legitimate talent. And not only do they return a lot of talent, they have continuity in the talent in the rooms, they have continuity at the coaching staff. And that right there is going to be a big thing, especially this year. But the guy who I was kind of surprised was not a unanimous addition to this list was Spencer Rattler. And that's not a knock at quarterbacks within the Big 12 because I think that there are some talented passers in the Big 12. I mean, certainly there are talented passers in the Big 12. It's a very pass-happy league. And Spencer is certainly one of them. We talked not long ago about the Pro Football Focus top 50 players in the nation, to which Spencer Rattler was named number 1. He is the odds-on Heisman favorite at this point right now, and for not any reason whatsoever. I mean, the kid is very talented, and when you really break down what it is that he does on a football field, it's easier to see why so many people are excited about him. He's got a very quick release. He's got the ability to make off-platform throws to which he can have his arm in a myriad of angles and still be able to deliver an accurate ball. Not only does he have a quick release, he has that quick release on the run. And probably the thing that's the most unique about Spencer, that is probably the most coveted, is that he runs with a purpose. And let me break down what I mean when I say this. It's one thing to run the ball with the purpose of getting a first down with your legs. Plenty of quarterbacks have done this to an incredible degree of success, and Spencer is a very athletic guy who is mobile enough to hurt you running the football. But where he's going to hurt you even more is because defenses know he does have that ability to run, albeit maybe not like Kyler or Jalen Hurts, but he can still run the football. He's an athletic dude. What hurts defenses even more is when they think he's going to run and he keeps his eyes downfield and he finds the open receiver and then he throws it. That's what the thing that Spencer Rattler has that keeps defenses so off balance. You cannot commit to stopping him in any one particular way because he's got such a deep skill set. Plus you have Lincoln Riley at his helm being the quarterback coach, being the coach of OU, the offensive guru he is. A little surprised Spencer Rattler wasn't a unanimous addition, but Brock Purdy is a very talented quarterback. You know, this is an individual who this year is really going to be someone who is looked at very carefully, probably more so than most other quarterbacks in the nation, because prior to last year, he was an individual that a lot of NFL pundits had very high on their boards. Very interested to see what he did with his season last year, and he didn't have the greatest season last year. In fact, if we look at some advanced metrics, if I'm not mistaken, he threw the most balls that were interceptable out of any quarterback in college football. So he's kind of one of those quarterbacks that plays by go big or go home. The flip side is he has the ability to do that. It's just making sure that he can be consistent and make good decisions. If he can show that, this is an individual who is incredibly talented and we need to watch out for. OU, Iowa State dominate this list, but there are other areas in which I really want to talk about it. Texas getting two guys on here. And the thing I think is so interesting is Bijan Robinson and Breece Hall, the two running backs that were put on this list, are the two running backs that were omitted from the Pro Football Focus top 50 players in the nation. And already when I saw that list, I agreed with a lot of what Pro Football Focus did, and they do have reasons for putting individuals why they are. They use a bevy of stats to be able to explain it. But sometimes I don't feel like stats tell the full story, and there has to be a nuanced argument as to why things are the way they are. Bijan just didn't get the attempts last year. And because of that, Pro Football Focus, I feel like, may have passed him over individuals that did get more opportunities. But the thing is we have to look at the quality of the opportunities given, to which Bijan Robinson was unbelievable. I mean, easily one of the top running backs in the nation. And if we go back to that video I talked about, he was number one in yards per carry, number one after yards after contact, and if I'm not mistaken, number one in breakaway percentage at 64.3%. And what breakaway percentage is being able to break a run longer than 15 yards. This is an individual who is unbelievably talented, which is why I was very surprised when he was left off of the Pro Football Focus top 50 players in the nation. Bijan is a top 50 player in the nation. He is a guy who is going to have a great season this year, and I'm very excited to watch him. Breece Hall being the other running back added, once again, not on that Pro Football Focus list, but probably for the opposite reason, because Bijan, while he didn't get the attempts, Breece got a bevy of attempts, and I think that there's kind of this thought out there that Iowa State just kind of pounds the ball, and his stats are a little bit inflated. But what I will say is you have to have a running back that is able to do that. Not every running back is able to do what Breece Hall is able to do and still be as good as he is. That is a quantifiable skill set that teams in the NFL even are looking for. Breece Hall having that ability is something to uphold, is something to look at, is something to compliment, and I think it's awesome that he's in on this list. Another thing I want to talk about, preseason addition, someone that they're looking forward to that is a new addition to the Big 12 that they think is going to have a big year, Eric Gray. Now, for those of you that have been coming around this channel for quite some time, you'll know I am very high on Eric Gray. In fact, I'm a little bullish on Eric Gray. I think the kid is phenomenally talented. I think that he is in for a huge year at OU, and I think all the requisite pieces around Eric Gray are only going to help Eric Gray flourish, but I also believe that Eric Gray is going to help OU flourish. His ability to be so versatile is only going to help that offense as a whole, and when you couple that with Spencer's ability to already keep a defense off balance with a brilliant play caller in Lincoln Riley, my goodness, you can see why OU is so excited to get the season started. But there's another newcomer that was not mentioned in this list that I'm very much excited to watch, and that is Xavier Worthy for the Texas Longhorns. Now, the reason is because when I look at Texas, when I look at Sark, and when I look at what they have, Xavier Worthy is going to be an incredibly key piece to the Texas Longhorns. Sark has this theory that he doesn't want to take 15 plays to score if he can take 4 plays to score. And the thing with the Texas Longhorns right now is Bijan does have that ability. Every time he touches the ball, he can take it the distance. He is a home run threat every time. The addition of Keelan Robinson is huge for the Longhorns. Another individual I'm very excited to watch because he also has that ability. But Xavier Worthy, splitting out wide, having that home run speed, legit track speed, is going to keep defenses honest, which is something that Texas really hasn't had. Having the ability to stretch a defense to where a defense cannot stack the box is not only going to help Bijan, it's not only going to help the quarterbacks, it's going to help every other receiver on that roster be able to maximize their abilities. Because one of the things I talk about with receiving rooms is if you have stylistic differences within your receivers, you can really make a defense pay, keep them off balance, because they have to worry about every different type of receiver. Texas has stylistic differences in their receiving room, and Xavier Worthy is an individual that will help tie it all together. Really excited to see the season he's going to have. I think the other thing I really want to focus on briefly before we close this out is looking at the defensive side. Once again, OU, Iowa State, a lot of guys representing the defensive side, OU having a lot of their big nasties in there, and Iowa State having who the Big 12 believes will be the defensive player of the year in Mike Rose. A huge guy coming back for the Cyclones, someone I've talked about on this channel. The Cyclones were incredibly lucky last season when they look at their team in its entirety and see all the talented pieces they have coming back, because it is going to be massively important for them to try and make a run at a Big 12 title to unseat Oklahoma. You can't help but realize how many guys both OU and Iowa State put on this list. I mean, in fact, if we're talking there's around 30 guys on this list, 17 of them come from either OU or Iowa State. Absolutely the majority of this list coming from one of those two institutions, which show you just how talented they are right now, which is exactly why I always say for Texas, being successful this year might not look like a Big 12 championship, and I'm not going to hold you to that standard. I don't think that that's reasonable. I don't think that that's a healthy standard to be held to year one, specifically year one for a new coaching staff, in a league where there are two teams with so much established talent, so much returning talent, and so much established and returning continuity at the coaching staff position. The Big 12 is improving, but right now, Iowa State and Oklahoma are in such a good position for this year coming up. Texas has got to feel excited in the direction they're heading. Having Bijan, how talented he is. Xavier Worthy is a name I want everybody who's a Big 12 fan to keep in mind, because I really do think he could have a big season. He could be somebody we're talking about this time next season is a guy to watch for a major impact player for the Texas Longhorns, because I think he's a guy to watch to be a major impact player this year. He is young. He is going to have to win a spot, but if he does that, I think Xavier Worthy is going to show just how talented he is. Very excited to hear where y'all are thinking about this list. Let me know down below. OU, Iowa State, you have to be absolutely ecstatic about this list with how many guys you put on it. And the rest of the Big 12, we can see that even though the Big 12 is getting better, this year in particular, two teams have an incredibly established roster that they are bringing to the table. Let me know what y'all are thinking down below. That's it. See ya.